Yes.
Yes!
Yes to becoming a monthly supporter of Shriners Hospitals for Children.
That's right. Your monthly support allows the doctors and nurses at Shriners Hospitals for Children to give the most amazing care and change the lives of kids like me.
And me.
And me.
Because people like you have said yes. Now I can play football.
And I can play catch.
And I can walk.
So what do you say? Will you say yes right now?
It's so easy.
All you have to do is pick up the phone or go to loveshriners.org right now and say yes. When you say yes to giving just $19 a month, only 63 cents a day, we'll send you this adorable Love to the Rescue blanket as a reminder of all the kids you're helping every day. My life is filled with possibility because of the monthly support of people just like you who called the number on your screen and said yes.
Yes.
Yes!
Yes.
Your yes is making...
Welcome back to this Real America's Voice news break. I'm Terrence Bates. Women going through menopause often deal with the emotional challenges that come along with their bodies changing. However, the physical changes can be just as difficult. And that's where Energized Health may be able to help you out.
When I went through menopause, my whole body changed and went crazy, and I haven't been able to feel great. I used to feel sluggish all the time. I would be like, oh, I just want to take a nap. I want to go to sleep. Now I'm always energized. Like the inches just disappeared and the clothes is falling off and I'm losing the weight and I feel fabulous. But no, I feel great. Thank you for this program. It's an amazing program and it's for life now.
John Jubilee from Energized Health is here to explain how you may be able to realize similar results as that lady there. John, good morning.
Morning, Terrence.
All right, so how do we start the process? How do we reverse menopause, if you will? Not that me as a guy that I would be dealing with it, but there are some women listening to us right now who would like to know the secret.
Well, I'll tell you what, interesting you say that, Terrence. We don't as men go through menopause, but as men, what can happen is our testosterone, it just tanks. So it starts dropping, 100, 200, 300, 400, 500 points as we go through life. So I'll just give some hope to the men here on two fronts. So number one, for men, I just want to tell you, we just had another gentleman, 67 years old, last Tuesday. He got his checkup and his doctor said, oh, I didn't know you started testosterone therapy. He said, well, I didn't. He said, well, your testosterone is up 200 points. And he said, well, what'd you do to get your testosterone up 200 points? He said, man, I'm doing this Energized Health protocol. So men, the man version of menopause is the low testosterone, where we lose all that. We lose our sex drive and our energy. Then for the ladies, of course, you got the night sweats going on when you're going through your menopause. You got night sweats. You got those hot flashes, which is like torture. And for the men, can I tell you, please encourage your wife during that. You know what? She has not been abducted by an alien. Those are real physiological things that are going through your wife. It's just you don't recognize her because they are so dramatic of what's happening. But take hope from what you saw from this woman. You know what, Terrence, I was part of a medical study with 130 women that I had. Every one of them got back their sex drive, got back their energy. They lost that weight that they couldn't lose. They lost their hot flashes. They got back their mojo. And their husband said, oh my gosh, haven't seen that woman for 20 years running around my house. Thank you, Energized Health.
You had me at, you know what, I won't even go there. I think you know where I would have gone. But let's talk about how reversible this is. How does one start this process of trying to reverse menopause or even low testosterone for the men?
Look, guys, it's so easy. It just starts with a phone call. You just have to take your first action step and talk to someone who has your answer. So when you have a problem, you need an answer. And so at Energized Health, we make it so easy. All you have to do is book a call. It's a no obligation call. It's totally free. You know, you just have to go on a website, hit your book a call, and then take your call. And when you're on that call, you're going to talk to someone. Everyone at Energized Health was a client first. Some of them are 20 and 30-year nurses that quit nursing after they had their personal health miracle through Energized Health. So all you have to do is reach out and make a call.
So you stand by this. You're saying that people can start your protocol and that they can begin the process, at very least begin the process of reversing their menopause or their low testosterone and getting their lives back on track to what they were 10, 15, 20 years ago.
We have helped thousands of women and men get back their full sex drive, their full healthy sex life, their full energy, their full mojo, and you can have it too if you'll do what they did.
All right, and folks, all you have to do is go to the website there at the bottom of your screen. You see it there, energizedhealth.com. Log on, get all the information that you need. And as you just heard John say, at least schedule your first call. It's free of charge. Get some more information. And if you decide you want to start the process, then you can go ahead and do it there. Well, that's going to do it for us here on Real America's Voice. We appreciate you being here with us for this news break. Now, let's get you back to your regularly scheduled programming.
California wildfire ripping apart Los Angeles County.
This is ridiculous. This is death by 1,000 paper cuts by Democrat policies.
That is President Trump's motorcade.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
Trump has returned triumphant.
We hope they come out tonight.
We prayed together and we cried for 4 years.
Such an amazing feeling.
Flight 5342 colliding with a Black Hawk helicopter. 67 lives lost.
Liberation Day was extraordinary.
We never charged anybody anything, but now we're going to charge.
I think it's a great day here at the White House.
They've sold out our country, and they
to the factories, from small towns to city streets. This is the fight for the soul of our nation.
We're watching Democrats attack democracy. Do not be fooled.
The strength, the grit, the greatness of the American spirit, all right here.
The left wanted power, not peace, but there's a resistance rising. A generation saying enough, enough. We've tried it their way, and it failed.
The Steve Gruber Show with your host, Steve Gruber, starts right now.
Going in another action-packed day here, fighting for you from the foxhole of freedom and making sure you have the right person shoulder to shoulder to you when it matters most. Let's get rolling. There's a lot to cover today. Like every day here, 3 big things you need to know this hour. Number 1, you know how some things just don't age well? How about Al Gore's movie, An Inconvenient Truth? 20 years now since the doom and gloom documentary predicted the demise of the world. It's 9 degrees here today, right? Yeah, okay, so not so much. Number 2, home buyers have been canceling deals at a record rate in recent months, but why? Are they waiting for better interest rates, or is there something wrong? We'll talk about that. And let's take a closer look at what's happening in Minneapolis this morning, because this pseudo-military operation is being sold as a bunch of ordinary Minneapolis folks just making posters in their basements and protesting. We know that's not what is happening at all. We have to take a look at who is benefiting from the chaos, because it's not Minneapolis residents, I can tell you that. Minneapolis residents benefit from having criminals removed from their streets. They benefit from ICE's work. So there's something bigger, something greater at work here, a master plan that has these far-left agitators and anarchists working against the interests of that city. So who has something to gain from the unrest? It's the powers that be, domestic, even potentially internationally. Let's start domestically. Democrats don't want to lose their voters, because that's who many of these illegal aliens actually are, Democrat voters. Let's just be honest about that. Let's be brutally honest. Democrat politicians don't care about Alex Preddy or Renee Good. They're secretly pleased to have a martyr amplify their cause, which is protecting their voter base and their massive fraud schemes. That's why Minnesota's leaders aren't doing anything to bring down the temperature. It's why Governor Tim Walz is comparing Alex Preddy to Anne Frank. Yeah, he's done that. The revered child martyr from the Holocaust. Listen to this disgusting comment.
We have got children in Minnesota hiding in their houses, afraid to go outside. Many of us grew up reading that story of Anne Frank. Somebody's going to write that children's story about Minnesota. And there's one person who can end this now.
It's disgusting. It is disgusting to compare the Holocaust. It's offensive to Jewish people, gypsies, to those who were marginalized by the Nazi regime. There is no comparison. The only children's book that's going to be written is about Walls and what a child he is. Significant wordplay. Walls is making sure that Preddy's death serves his purposes, making sure that the public view of Preddy as a martyr is there, and that somehow the Nazi Holocaust is like radical anarchists in the streets of Minnesota attacking federal officers. And Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, no better, still comparing ISIS's presence to an invasion, saying it needs to end, which might as well be a battle cry to the agitators out there in the streets to declare war on America. Listen to this.
Are you standing up for American families right now, or are we tearing them apart? The invasion of these heavily armed masked agents roaming around on our streets of Minneapolis, emboldened with a sense of impunity, it has to end.
Yeah, it has to end, all right. That kind of rhetoric has to end. But what do these guys have to hide? Well, plenty, obviously. For starters, billions of dollars in fraud that they've allowed to be swindled away from their constituents, from the taxpayers of Minnesota, lining the coffers of Somali residents and others who have played the system and made themselves wealthy. Senate Republicans have just launched a probe this week into Minnesota's handling of that fiasco, as they should. And just recently, a convicted fraudster, the latest to claim that Walls and the state's Attorney General Keith Ellison were both fully aware of what was going on despite their claims to the contrary. And now Walls, Frey, and company have been subpoenaed by the Justice Department for potential obstruction of immigration enforcement over allegations that they have directly interfered with ICE's work for more than just the press box in the Twin Cities. And again, why are they so dead set against ICE? The reaction to Attorney General Pam Bondi's latest request might prove why. Minnesota is refusing, like some other Democrat states, to turn over its voter roll information to the Justice Department amid concerns of massive voter fraud in that state connected to all the other systemic fraud. Now, if there's nothing to hide, then why hide? If it's not far-fetched to believe that Democrats have their hands right in the middle of this unrest and may be directly involved in fanning the flames for political gain. Check this out. The Minneapolis Director of Emergency Management is Rachel Sayer, a former USAID director who has been at the center of regime change all over the world in a number of countries. And who's to say she's not attempting to be part of regime change right here in the United States? Listen to her.
My background is in international humanitarian response in conflict zones in Yemen, Haiti, Syria, Iraq, and Ukraine. What I've seen here is what I've seen there. A powerful entity violently and intentionally terrorizing people, making them afraid to go outside so they can't earn a living, so that kids are forced out of school. This has a lasting generational impact.
Yeah, this will have a generational impact, all right. Minneapolis still not recovering from the summer of Floyd. Then there's the state's second in command, Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, who has been accused of being an admin on one of those signal chats being used to sow chaos in Minneapolis under the pseudonym Flan Southside. An accusation that her office denies, but it wouldn't be surprising, wouldn't it? Considering that she has participated and led protests in this area before other Minnesota Democrats have openly admitted their involvement in these signal operation and the coordination of attacking federal officers. Others have gone even further. Meet Minnesota State Representative Brad Tabke, who set out a Zoom link for those interested in participating in his ICE Watch training seminar. And what did that training seminar include? A bunch of lessons on how to impede and obstruct ICE agents, giving detailed tips about using whistles, following ICE vehicles, following the group's set hierarchy. Like I've said all along, this is not just some series of protests. It's a well-organized and well-funded uprising. It is a pseudo-military operation designed to destabilize America and distract from all the mistakes of the Democrats. These tactics are designed to disorient ICE agents, directly contribute to incidents like the unfortunate death of Alex Preddy. When you've got agitators blowing whistles, honking horns, screaming, ICE agents are facing an all-out attack on the nervous system. And when protesters start physically harassing them, they don't know who's armed and who's not. So, of course, someone's likely to get hurt or shot or worse. Alex Preddy's death wasn't an accident, and not because ICE targeted him or something. Alex Preddy's death was the result of these tactics that will almost always end with someone getting hurt, which is what the enemies of America want. In fact, Preddy himself had a broken rib from fighting with agents 1 week before his death. It seems he didn't learn his lesson, and now it's too late. But it's not too late for America. More on this after the break. Good morning. This is The Steve Gruber Show.
California wildfire ripping apart Los Angeles County.
This is ridiculous. This is death by 1,000 paper cuts by Democrat policies.
That is President Trump's motorcade.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
Trump has returned triumphant.
We hope they come out tonight.
We prayed together and we cried for 4 years.
Such an amazing feeling.
Flight 5342 colliding with a Black Hawk helicopter. 67 lives lost.
Liberation Day was extraordinary.
We never charged anybody anything, but now we're going to charge.
I think it's a great day here at the White House.
They've sold out our country, and they don't care why they're here.
We're now averaging 2,000 deportations a day.
Finally, a president steps up and does a presidential thing.
The strikes were a spectacular success.
Through every storm, every moment of uncertainty,
everybody needs to pray for Charlie Kirk right now.
Rav has stood strong.
We're not going to tolerate this stuff anymore.
Turn that anger into motivation to save this nation.
When we move together, there is power.
The cries of this widow will echo like a battle cry.
This is more than news. It's a movement.
This revolution of people taking their countries back.
A turning point. A chance to be part of something greater than yourself. Scan the QR code and stand with Rav. The story isn't over, and neither is your part in it. Step in. Be counted. Be heard. Together, we are Rav.
We will achieve American greatness. And we are just getting started.
Flashosaurus in the chat. I love Real America's Voice because I can watch news being delivered to me live while I chat with a family I love.
My name is Sandy Zeiss. Rav is the greatest for me because I live alone, and when I'm watching in the morning, have my coffee, I feel like I'm talking with family.
My name is TJ Ash from Carbonville, Utah. Real America's Voice lets me express my conservative views without censorship or edit.
By the way, I think those enemies in Minneapolis extend far beyond just the Democrats. I think there's some international powers at play here. Countries who have realized after Trump's time in Davos that they have lost control and their influence over the policies, the foreign policies, of the United States. Trump and his cabinet, those leaders spent the last week letting the rest of the world know that America is no longer interested in serving anyone else's interests except ours. I shared many of those clips with you last week. And as you can imagine, much of Europe and our own neighbors like Canada are not fans of Trump resetting everything. They're calling us out for ushering in a new world order. I don't think they want America at the top of this new world order they've talked about for so many years. It's been reshuffled. Instead, they're all about warning about America's return to the 19th century, something that my friend Susan Kokinda lays out nicely. She'll join me on the show here in the coming days. Here's part of what she posted this week. Listen.
If you listen closely, the leading British and Commonwealth voices aren't just mourning the post-war order. They're suddenly obsessed with the 19th century. NPR is reporting that Trump's America First is dragging us back to a 19th century world of spheres of influence. And the Council on Foreign Relations warns we're drifting not by accident, but by structural necessity toward a world that looks far less like the liberal universalism of 1945 and more like the balance of power order of the late 19th century. Spheres of influence, managed rivalry, and transactional diplomacy. And then enter Jeremy Corbyn of the British Labour Party. He chimed in.
What we're looking at is almost 19th century imperial powers squabbling over bits and pieces from the rest of the world.
Now ask yourself, what was Britain's greatest fear in the 19th century? That the principles of the American Revolution would spread, that the economics of the American system would create strong, prosperous, sovereign nations, leaving the imperial policies of financial control, backwardness, and depopulation in the dust. Which, by the way, is exactly what Donald Trump is doing today.
Yeah, our friends, right? Empires like Great Britain have a history of sponsoring revolutions from within rival nations to destabilize them. Now, who's to say that's not part of what's happening right now? In one of those signal chats, there's a resource file link that directs people with money to a website, Stand With Minnesota, which in turn directs donors to a campaign run by Tending the Soil on Chuffed. This campaign is hosted by Chuffed, and the first donation came from Johnny Sapatuik, a Canadian-based community organizer who's part of Chuffed leadership and specializes in fundraising. He's most likely a central figure in all of this. Why is a Canadian leading the charge for fundraising for protests in Minneapolis? Think about that for a minute. I'm telling you, foreign entities have a lot to gain from what's happening in Minnesota. There's something similar going on over in Shanghai. Listen to this.
There is a man in Shanghai, China, an American citizen. His name is Neville Roy Singham. He works with the Beijing government. He is funneling millions of dollars into the United States of America through 501s like Party for Socialism and Liberation, Democratic Socialists of America, Minnesota Immigration Rights Action Committee. There he is, okay? Connecticut-born, 71 years old, billionaire tech guy. He is funneling money here to these radical organizations who are then agitating professional people, communists mostly, because Singham's a communist, all right, to go in and foster rebellion. You heard that story reported? That is absolutely true. The man has been investigated by the FBI in the past, this Singham character, okay? This isn't some organic thing. This is a foreign power, Beijing, using this American citizen who lives openly in Shanghai in luxury, knowing that this man is funneling tens of millions, probably more, into this country to try to destroy the government.
Just keep putting the puzzle pieces together. Thank you, Bill O'Reilly, for that. The Department of War just released our national defense strategy, and let me tell you, the rest of the world doesn't like it either, especially the EU. Here are 4 things on that list that it focuses on. Number 1, defend the U.S. homeland. Deter China in the Indo-Pacific through strength, not confrontation. Increase burden sharing with U.S. allies and partners. And number 4, supercharge the U.S. defense industrial base. We are putting America first. and making everyone else pick up the slack that they've been handing us for decades. Here's what it says. For too long, allies and partners have been content to let us subsidize their defense. Our political establishment reaped the credit while regular Americans paid the bill. With President Trump, there is a new approach in effect. And here's something else that new approach includes. A united front against drug trafficking in the Western Hemisphere. This is huge. It's a direct assault on the drug cartels that have propped up several nations for decades. Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Dan Kane, is set to meet next month, February the 11th, with 34 leaders of the Western Hemisphere nations about cracking down on the cartels. And here's something that's not getting talked about. If you zoom out on British history, there's a pretty blunt truth. When drug trafficking served imperial interests, Britain didn't just tolerate it, they ran it. The clearest example is the opium trade in China in the 18th and 19th centuries. Britain wanted tea and silk. China didn't want British goods, so Britain pushed opium grown in colonial India to balance the books. When China tried to stop the flood of addiction, Britain literally went to war to protect the trade, using the Royal Navy to force open ports to legalize opium. The East India Company built an empire partly on drug revenue, and Hong Kong became a global hub for opium finance and shipping. Only later, after profits were secured and power consolidated, did Britain suddenly discover a moral opposition to narcotics and champion drug control. The point? Drugs weren't an oopsie of the empire. They were a tool, dropped only when they were no longer needed. And who's to say that the trafficking trade isn't being used once again to destabilize this great country we live in? I'm telling you, folks, we're under attack from all directions. And our new national defense strategy undermines that tactic. And the EU and the UK and others, they can't stand it. That's why they're lining up against Donald Trump. That's partly why there's chaos in Minnesota. Stay tuned. We'll have more in the days to come. Good morning. This is The Steve Gruber Show.
First time an American Pope has been chosen.
We commemorate and celebrate the 250th anniversary of the United States Army with a massive parade.
They fight, and they win.
Floods in central Texas, devastating. The death toll could reach 100.
It's not a good morning. I think our hearts are hurting.
God is listening. Pray for Charlie Kirk right now.
I'm sitting here talking about Charlie Kirk being gunned down because he loved America.
Never underestimate what one person can do with a good heart.
We have peace in the Middle East, and we can thank President Trump.
My next guest honestly should be world famous. He should. Because Dr. Michael Hutchinson invented the NeuroGuard Plus, a mouth guard that reduces the chance of concussion over 99% of the time. Certified by Michigan State and Wayne State University. They've tested this mouth guard, certified the results. NeuroGuard Plus. Dr. Michael Hutchinson with me this morning. Sir, you should be famous. Everybody should use your mouth guard. My son's been using it playing football for years. 0 concussions, and yet it's just not world famous yet. Why not?
Well, I just need to be on your show more, and then I'd be world famous.
We're getting there. But you've reduced concussions to the point that they almost never happen with this device. It's pretty earth-shaking, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, this is something that we've been working on a long time, and actually the mouth guards that people have used is 85 years old. So try to change that kind of tradition is monumental, but we're making lots of strides, and because frankly that's how the body works. And again, like you said, 0.2% concussion rate, so there's nothing out there that can beat that.
Nothing even close. And right now it's basketball season. People don't think about concussions in basketball, but basketball concussions, especially women's basketball, doctor, very high, aren't they?
Yes, women's sports are twice the chance of getting a concussion. Part of it's neck strength. Men have stronger necks than women, and that's part of it. But yeah, not just basketball, but soccer, cheerleading, any sport that you're actively participating in, you have a chance of a concussion, and it needs to be mitigated by this new discovery.
Doctor, I appreciate you being here. I want you folks to pay attention. If you're in sports, your kids are in sports, your grandkids are in sports, NeuroGuardPlus.com. Use the promo code Gruber. You're going to save some money. You're going to save their brains because concussions are a lot worse than we ever used to think. He has made a difference here, folks. Dr. Hutchinson should be world famous. NeuroGuardPlus.com. Use that promo code Gruber. Save a little bit of money and keep your head in the game. Doctor, thank you as always.
All right. Thanks for being here.
Greatly appreciate it.
See you later.
It's a beautiful invention that keeps kids' heads intact. NeuroGuardPlus.com. I beg of you, keep your head in the game. I'll be right back.
The very first time an American Pope has been chosen.
We commemorate and celebrate the 250th anniversary of the United States Army with a massive parade.
They fight, and they win.
Floods in central Texas, devastating. The death toll could reach 100.
It's not a good morning. I think our hearts are hurting.
God is listening. Pray for Charlie Kirk right now.
I'm sitting here talking about Charlie Kirk being gunned down because he loved America.
Never underestimate what one person can do with a good heart.
We have peace in the Middle East, and we can thank President Trump.
Looked like an ambush situation.
Two of our brave members of the National Guard were brazenly attacked in a horrendous act.
Clean. Now harness the power of water with the H2O X5 5-in-1 steam cleaning system.
I'm so impressed with the X5.
It's an all-in-one product. I can use it throughout my entire house.
It's cleaning, it's sanitizing. There's no chemicals in it. It's just steam.
This is unbelievable. There is no more odor.
5 minutes, I'm done. Look at that. It's amazing.
If you're ready to step into an effective, economical, and eco-safe world of cleaning, look no further than the H2O X5. Using just the power of superheated water, the X5 Super Hot Steam cleans and kills up to 99% of germs, viruses, and bacteria. You could spend over $500 to purchase the products that the X5 5-in-1 Miracle replaces. But through this special TV offer, you won't spend $400, $300, or even $200. Order your H2O X5 steam cleaning system, a $500 value, for just 4 easy payments of $43. You'll get the X5 steam mop with microfiber pad, the carpet glider, the handheld scrubber, the window glass and mirror attachment, and the garment and upholstery bonnet. It's a complete 10-piece system, all this for just 4 easy payments of $43. But it gets even better. Order now and we'll upgrade your X5 package. We'll add a 6th mode with a dusting and polishing wand. Valued at over $30, this extra bonus attachment makes your H2O X5 the H2O X6. That means your 10-piece system becomes a 12-piece system at no extra cost to you. If after 30 days you're not absolutely delighted, send it back for a full refund of the purchase price. Don't wait. Now's your chance to own the X5 for just 4 easy payments, and we'll make the first payment for you. You get the X5 incredible 5-in-1 lightweight, powerful 12-piece steam cleaning system, a $500 value, all for just 3 easy payments of $43. This offer can't last forever, so call or click right now.
All right, back at it now. Glad to have you here. Been a lot of conversations about Alex Preddy being killed last weekend in Minneapolis. He was carrying a legal gun to a point, but he didn't have his ID. He didn't have his permission slip with him, his CDL card or whatever, meaning he was carrying that gun unlawfully. And as soon as he got in a confrontation with police and didn't announce that I have a gun, also violated the rules. But still a tragic situation. Joining me now is Dudley Brown. He is the president of the National Association for Gun Rights. Dudley, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, Steve.
This is a bad situation. I don't know. To me, it looks like what happened is they disarmed Mr. Preddy. And it appears in one of the videos, and look, there's so many videos, I don't know what to believe and what not. It appears that the gun may have discharged in the officer's hands. Well, at that point, there's heightened concern, heightened alert, and they fired. A terrible outcome. He is legal to carry a gun at a protest. I am. I've gone to protest carrying my concealed pistol. But what is your take on all of this at this point?
Well, I don't buy any arguments about him not carrying the proper permit with him, or that he didn't follow the little tiny rules. I mean, that's
technicalities. I'll give you that.
That's really nitpicking in my view, Steve. But I think our big concern is, first and foremost, you can't impede a law enforcement officer. If Preddy did things that caused him to be arrested, be disarmed, arrested, and ultimately paid the ultimate price for screwing around and not being in the right spot or being too aggressive. Well,
here's a footnote
out later in a trial. Maybe.
This is a fact that's important. Preddy was there with a broken rib because he had gotten in an altercation with law enforcement 1 week earlier that resulted in one of his ribs getting broken. He wasn't new to the scene. All right, keep going.
I don't have all that info yet, and as I actually get it, I look through it, sift through it. But what really bothers me, and the point we want to make, is the administration's comments about it. First, the FBI director came out and essentially said you can't carry a handgun at a protest, and as you just said, Steve, you carry.
Of course you can.
At a protest, I virtually carry 2 handguns every day and multiple magazines, and largely because 2 is 1 and 1 is none. And I carry everywhere. And the FBI director making this claim was silly. And I know everyone's going to say, you got to read the context and what he said. No, this is a really, really bad look for the administration. I mean, it sounded more like it came from the Obama administration than it did from the Trump administration. Then Kristi Noem said some dumb things, not terribly out of character for her. And then the Secretary of the Treasury had to join in with the idiocy. This was just a big bumbling. And I don't even say what the president said yesterday was not terribly coherent. So let's be clear, for average Americans, not people who have security around them all the time. You should carry a gun when you're practicing your First Amendment rights. That's the time in which many people want to shut you up and cause you violence. Ask Charlie Kirk. Now, almost anybody who's involved in these circumstances would say they want to avoid them, and you should try to avoid them. But it's every American's right, whether you're a lefty or a righty or a middle grounder, to protect yourself and have the tools for self-defense. And frankly, the state of Minnesota already impedes people pretty dramatically. And us arguing that Mr. Preddy didn't follow all the rules, those rules should be virtually zero. They should be a constitutional carry state like 29 other states in our country. So it is not a function of government to impede on American citizens' rights to protect themselves. They have that right, and they should. And it doesn't matter which party you're from or which tribe or who you voted for president. Come on. Now, do we have issue with them? Of course, I don't agree with Mr. Preddy on. Sounds like I didn't agree with him on anything, but I'll still defend the right.
Yeah, he has the right to carry, and that's a fact. And you're right; it's technicalities they're leaning on here. To me, it's not a good look. I don't think at the time that he died, he was a threat to those officers, but they didn't know it. Look, they're being agitated all the time. Horns, whistles, cars, nonsense, stuff being thrown at them. Their adrenaline levels are surging. There's chaos. One of the officers yells, "Gun, gun, gun." And even though he's disarmed, I think by that time, when a gunshot goes off, it hits the fan. And you're exactly right, Dudley. You could just not be there. You could stand back 100 feet and protest and yell and scream and carry on. But to insert yourself in that situation becomes very volatile and very dangerous. But that does not disregard the man's rights.
To agitate. He was there to agitate. We know that. All the smaller circumstances of how he did it, I'm not certain of it yet. I haven't sifted through all the images. I know years ago, I certainly did that with a young man named Kyle Rittenhouse, who now works for me. And Kyle stood up, and he probably shouldn't have been there. I would have never let my son, age 17, show up at a BLM riot in anywhere.
Well, and in fact, it's interesting you say that. We just spoke to Kyle here, and it's going to be put up on a podcast here in the next couple of days. He said, I had no business being there at 17. He'll tell you that himself. He had no business being there. He knows that. But on the same token, he had the right to defend himself once he was there. Different situation. I want to go back to what you said about Kristi Noem and Kash Patel. Do you have any faith in Kristi Noem? You would not be alone. A lot of people voicing concerns over Kristi Noem, Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, some of the people that have not proven themselves to be great members of this cabinet thus far. There are a lot of people that think that those people maybe should be replaced. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I won't call for anybody's replacement yet, but and no one would listen to me anyway. I did make a lot of inquiries into my friends and people highly placed in and I read many of the comments, and I think my letter WEF. I don't need to say anymore. Bizarre. Now, I do not begrudge the administrative officials for being very specific and saying, why did this happen, and this would have been a better idea, and we don't know all the facts. And of course, they're being semi-defensive about an ICE agent. I understand that. Those guys are in very difficult situations right now, and they're being placed there, but they're trying to enforce a law, and that clearly the far left doesn't want them to enforce. We don't touch that issue. We just touch our main focus is always not on the Second Amendment, but on the First Amendment, because of course that's how we defend the Second Amendment right now.
That's correct.
Is via personal rights. And in this case, there was a really dumb statement by the FBI director, who has not made these kind of statements before.
Yeah, there was as far as a crisis management, it was poorly handled. We can agree on that. I got a little bit there, but the takeaway is, it's interesting that it's the Democrats now defending gun rights. What a strange turn that is. I'll leave it there for today. I'll have you back sometime soon, Dudley. Greatly appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Steve.
Dudley Brown. What are your thoughts on all of that? We'll be right back.
First time an American pope has been chosen.
We commemorate and celebrate the 250th anniversary of the United States Army with a massive parade.
They fight, and they win.
Floods in central Texas, devastating. The death toll could reach 100.
It's not a good morning. I think our hearts are hurting.
God is listening. Pray for Charlie Kirk right now.
I'm sitting here talking about Charlie Kirk being gunned down because he loved America.
Never underestimate what one person can do with a good heart.
We have peace in the Middle East, and we can thank President Trump.
Looked like an ambush situation.
Two of our brave members of the National Guard were brazenly attacked in a horrendous act of violence.
Hanukkah celebration shot up by migrants.
Appeasement equals death. Now is the moment to put your brand in front of an engaged, loyal audience through Real America's Voice. When you advertise on Real America's Voice, you're not just running an ad, you're partnering with trusted voices like Steve Bannon, Charlie Kirk, and other influential hosts. Backed by millions of monthly listeners.
What's happening? Because of a Real Voice, man. I watch it all the time.
Real America's Voice rocks.
Real America's Voice gives sponsors the chance to put their product front and center, displayed on screen and highlighted by our anchors during exclusive segments and live events.
Head to freetrumpknife.com.
This means your brand becomes part of the conversation as it happens.
Secure your spot before it's too late.
Join us today and make your brand part of the news conversation that America's viewers trust. Real America's Voice, where your message is seen, heard, and remembered.
I'm Patriot Mermaid, and I'm from West Haven, Connecticut. When the mainstream media wasn't giving us the truth, I went and looked for the truth and found it on Real America's Voice. Come and join us. Come on.
This is Giselle Chaffin. I'm from North Carolina. I'd like to let you know that RAV News is the best news. #1 news. Truth seekers seek to find the truth. It'll set you free.
All right, so where I live, we caught the edge of that big storm that went across the country last weekend. 200 million people were under the effects of that storm. Heavy snow, ice, problems, power outages. People still without power today. On Saturday morning here at the studios, it was minus 25.4 degrees ambient air temperature, the real thing. That's kind of sharp. If you're not prepared, you're making a mistake. And I mean all things in the cabinet. I mean food, water, maybe ammunition, whatever it is that you think you need, you should have. What about medications? Dr. Peter McCullough is the Chief Scientific Officer at the Wellness Company. He joins me now to discuss preparations in cases of emergency. Doctor, good morning.
Good morning.
People think about going, I mean, I saw these lines, you saw this too. They're at the grocery store, their carts are packed full. I mean, does anybody plan ahead anymore? I mean, they got 12,000 rolls of toilet paper. I'm like, really? You're not ready for this? But the thing they don't think about, in all the pharmacies closing across America, what if you need that medication for diabetes or blood pressure or whatever else it might be? Or what if you need a good emergency kit because you cut yourself when you're home and there's no power? People do not think ahead enough in this country anymore. What are your thoughts?
I agree, and they should think ahead regarding medications, particularly emergency medical kits. I'm in Texas, Steve. We haven't been out of the house in 5 days. We can't get out the back of our driveway and alley. So listen, even if even if the pharmacies are open, sometimes you can't get there. I've had patients that can't get mobilized. Everybody should have an emergency medical kit at home, per person at home. 8 essential medications, treats over 30 diseases. I had multiple patients actually develop problems, and thank goodness they had the kits, and we were able to solve them at home.
I am a believer in these kits. I have them here, right, so I can show people. Here's the original. It is the medical emergency kit. Antibiotics. It has antivirals, antiparasitics, and a whole host of other things. And there's a book in here. I mean, most people aren't doctors. There's a book in here to explain, okay, if you have this situation, here's how you use this medication. It's very simple. It's user-friendly. Explain what I will find in this kit for the folks that might not have one yet.
Well, this is what has happened over the weekend. So one of my patients had a viral illness. It progressed into a sinusitis. Well, you can diagnose the sinusitis yourself, use the guidebook, call telemedicine if you need it, or bronchitis. She started the appropriate antibiotics, and it literally cleared in about 4 days. And she didn't miss work. She didn't have to go into the urgent care. It was so worth it to have the emergency medical kit at home. And, now that some of the medicine has been used, she can use the replenishment program and then get the bottle refilled.
Yeah, and it's not just that. The Wellness Company, your team, Doctor, and I applaud you for this. You came out with the original. This is a great kit. I have it here at home. And then last summer, I burned my hand badly in a sauna. And we're 20 minutes from an ER, and the skin was coming off the back of my hand, a little belch of steam, and I'm like, wow, I have a problem. I went to this kit, the first aid kit. It was right here. Ivy and I had everything we needed to treat that hand before I saw a doctor, which greatly reduced the recovery time. Everything I needed for an emergency was right here. Look, if the roads are covered with snow and ice, an ambulance can't get to you if something bad happens. You need to be able to be prepared at home to deal with at least minor emergencies. What's in this kit? How important is it to have one of these?
Yeah, that's really a first aid kit if you're out camping, out in the woods. But I have to tell you, we were on a ski trip up in the mountains in a condo, and actually one of our members burned their hand baking cookies. It was the same thing, Steve. But thank goodness we had all the burn treatment materials and medicines there, and I treated the burn actually, and just like your situation, we avoided major skin contractures, problems later on, infections, and having to go to urgent care. So I tell you, all of us, no matter how adventuresome we are or how conservative we are, we still need an emergency medical kit.
And one of the other things that's in here, because you're on vacation, like you mentioned, or you're snowed in, or whatever the case may be, and all of a sudden you have an anaphylactic shock, and you have no way, and you have moments to figure it out. An EpiPen, it's indispensable because you don't know. My father nearly died as an adult because he ate shellfish, had no idea he was allergic to it. He happened to have epinephrine. He was a pharmaceutical rep. He had it available. Short of that, I would have lost my father a lot earlier in life. Those sorts of things are here too, aren't they?
They are. Now, remember, EpiPen, you need to follow up with a trip to the emergency room because it can be rebound. But in there, products to handle acute allergies, difficulty with respect to, acute strains and other injuries. And I think a lot of the material in there, actually, Steve, is to stop bleeding. The bigger gouges that you can't manage with simple pressure, we have all kinds of tools in there to help stop major bleeding before there's too much blood loss and you end up really in trouble out in the woods somewhere.
Yeah. My advice, be as paranoid as a Boy Scout. In other words, be prepared is their motto at the Boy Scouts. Be prepared. All right, before I let you go, flu and COVID and other upper respiratory illnesses running around. It's run through this house not once but twice so far this winter. What's the latest?
Our CDC says we're on the 14th wave of COVID. It looks just like the common cold or the flu. I'm still seeing cases that need the treatment McCullough protocol. That is, multiple drugs in combination. I think the lead is ivermectin. Rarely have to use corticosteroids, sometimes secondary antibiotics, but, it needs to be treated. Ultimately, people who don't treat these early viral infections can end up with some problem. Recently, Steve, I had a patient have this, went untreated, it's a case of COVID, ended up with a huge blood clot, and it nearly took her life. So treat COVID-19 early, treat influenza early. All the materials you need are in the emergency medical kits. The black kit fills all those roles for these acute viral infections.
The contagion kit. Several different kits to choose from. Doctor, your team has put together the best kits because you put a lot of time, effort, and thought into what people would need in different situations. Sir, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Get your kit today, twc.health/Gruber. twc.health/Gruber. This is just two of the kits. And trust me, when I burned myself, this was a great thing to have on the shelf. They have a travel kit, a kit for children, the contagion kit, twc.health/Gruber. Don't be unprepared, okay? I'll be right back.
The very first time an American Pope has been chosen.
We commemorate and celebrate the 250th anniversary of the United States Army with a massive parade.
They fight, and they win.
Floods in central Texas, devastating. The death toll could reach 100.
It's not a good morning. I think our hearts are hurting.
God is listening. Pray for Charlie Kirk right now.
I'm sitting here talking about Charlie Kirk being gunned down because he loved America.
Never underestimate what one person can do with a good heart.
We have peace in the Middle East, and we can thank President Trump.
looked like an ambush situation.
Two of our brave members of the National Guard were brazenly attacked in a horrendous act of violence.
Hanukkah celebration shot up by migrants.
Appeasement equals death. Now is the moment to put your brand in front of an engaged, loyal audience through Real America's Voice. When you advertise on Real America's Voice, you're not just running an ad, you're partnering with trusted voices like Steve Bannon, Charlie Kirk, and other influential hosts. Backed by millions of monthly listeners.
What's happening? Because of a real voice, man. I watch it all the time.
Real America's Voice rocks.
Real America's Voice gives sponsors the chance to put their product front and center, displayed on screen and highlighted by our anchors during exclusive segments and live events.
Head to freetrumpknife.com.
This means your brand becomes part of the conversation as it happens.
Secure your spot before it's too late.
Join us today and make your brand part of the news conversation that America's viewers trust. Real America's Voice, where your message is seen, heard, and remembered.
Hey, if you like to ice fish or get out on the ice of the big water, this is your year again. You know, every fall they tell us, oh, Great Lakes ice, it's on the decline. No, it's not. I've got the latest numbers here, by the way. Great Lakes surface ice at almost half right now. Half. It's doubled in a week. And these cold temperatures aren't going anywhere. We're getting another cold blast. And so Lake Erie, by the way, completely ice covered, just about. Saginaw Bay is covered. Green Bay is covered. Big chunks of Lake Superior covered with ice now. So if you're into that sort of thing, if you want to be part of that grumpy old men scenario out there, catching fish to the ice and drinking antifreeze, well, it's your winter. It's your winter. I bring this to your attention because it's hard to believe, but it's been 20 years now. I mentioned this at the top of the show. 20 years now since Al Gore came out with his movie An Inconvenient Truth. What was inconvenient about it was all garbage. His doom and gloom documentary, he won the Oscar for that piece of garbage, as I recall. Premiered 2006 at Sundance. The catalyst for the climate activist movement was that movie. Guess what? The Arctic, still frozen. Great Lakes, still frozen. Yeah, it's all true. 20 years. We're going to have some people on to talk about this the next couple of days. All the doom and gloom predictions that he made. Mount Kilimanjaro would have no snow by 2016. Well, guess what? Mount Kilimanjaro still covered in snow this winter. The Rocky Mountains don't have a lot of snow this winter, but boy, do we here. That's for sure. Boy, do we have it here. Let me ask you something. How many of you feel mentally fried by mid-afternoon? Not tired from sleep, but not sharp enough to focus either. That's the reality for a lot of people every day. That's why I want to tell you about Brain Reward from my good friends at Victory Nutrition International. Best vitamins I've ever had. Not caffeine, not a stimulant, no jittery nonsense. Brain Reward designed to support focus, mental clarity, and calm without revving you up and crashing you later, and that's what matters. Victory Nutrition International. Best research vitamins. Ivy did all the homework. You're going to love this company. VNI. Victory Nutrition International. VNI.life/Gruber. Get a big savings today for VNI. And face the apocalypse with a can-do attitude. Thank you, Al Gore. VNI.life/Gruber. It's a can-do attitude. The world's going to end. No, it's not. And in fact, we'll have another hour of the Steve Gruber Show still to come.
The very first time an American Pope has been chosen.
We commemorate and celebrate the 250th anniversary of the United States Army with a massive parade.
They fight, and they win.
Floods in central Texas, devastating. The death toll could reach 100.
It's not a good morning. I think our hearts are hurting.
God is listening.
pray for Charlie Kirk right now.
I'm sitting here talking about Charlie Kirk being gunned down because he loved America.
Never underestimate what one person can do with a good heart.
We have peace in the Middle East, and we can thank President Trump.
Looked like an ambush situation.
2 of our brave members of the National Guard were brazenly attacked in a horrendous act of violence.
Hanukkah celebration shot up by migrants.
Appeasement equals death.